Howdy, howdy, hey, how are you doing today? I'm the Moon Frog, and in this one, we're finally gonna have some brakes on the Accent. Right, so our main problem here, from what I can figure out, was the fact that if you can see the size of this versus the size of that one, well, we're not moving enough fluid to be applying the brakes fully, which kind of makes sense because the one that's on there right now was designed to move the clutch only, while this one was meant to move the brakes. This is the original brake master from the Accent, and well, we're going to be readapting it to be a dual port instead of a quad port. How we're going to do that? Well, I have it laid out right here. So these are what we call proportioning valves, and they used to screw into there. These proportioning valves limit the flow of fluid to the rear brakes to make sure your rear brakes don't lock up before your front ones. So we took those out because we don't need rear brakes anymore, and I went all over town today trying to find some plugs for this, which they don't exist. So we're going to do the next best thing and drive a bolt in there. And then what we'll have left is our two ports for the front brakes. Now the other reason I have to cap that side off, if you can see the brake master, or the clutch master rather, right there is very close to that strut tower. We don't have any space on that side. The brake master used to be in that hole right there, but we need to use the clutch location for the brakes. So to get this fitting there, removing the proportioning valve was necessary because we don't have the room to put them in there. Now I'm just going to cut down the bolts. We're just going to have a little bolt head sticking out here. It's not going to be any further than the year of the master, and that's all going to sit in there perfectly fine. But first, I have to get the old one out, or get the clutch master out, get the brake master back in to the clutch location, and then I need to figure out the lines again. Because right now I am feeding off a single line going to a T out to both sides of the car. But now we need the two lines to go right to the master. So yeah, I am going to put a time lapse on. We're going to remove the old one, figure out how to install the new one, and then I'll figure out some brake lines again. Alright, so I got the old one out and the new one is ready to go in. I got that little shaft at the back transferred to this one. Should be the same length and everything, so should be fine to slap right in, right? But no. If you can see where the hole is down there, if we line it up like that, we have too much material on this side of it. Now, I think I could just cut it at the middle of the hole, at least to start, and see if I can fit it right there. And then we're just gonna keep going and cutting until it fits. So yeah. All right, so we got the one side hacked off, and now it's gonna be time to massage the body a little bit, because if I put it in there, it pretty well lines up with the clutch master hole, but we do need a little more room right about there. So I am going to take our friendly hammer over there and massage this corner right here, and then I might fold this lip right up, and then hopefully it fits. right, so I got everything that we needed crushed, including my fingers. But on the upside, now it's pretty well ready to fit in there. It does fit quite tightly all around, but we should have room for the plugs, and we have plenty of room for the lines. So that should be that. Now, back out we go, and we are going to cut off the bolts that I bought because they're too long, and use the rest of them as plugs with a whole bunch of thread sealant on there. And yeah, so I just need to chop this to that length and then shove this in there, seal it up. We'll have just the head sticking off here, which I could even grind it off if I need to. And then that's going to be our custom factory brake master. There's always a way. So after a little bit of modifying, we now have master plugs. Boom. So I'm going to slap those in. We're going to go back to the car, and then we have to figure out routing the lines, but first mounting the cylinder itself. I'm going to go turn the compressor on. We're going to spend a few minutes boring that hole bigger, and then we will slide that master cylinder right in place. Then we can get to plumbing it. Something like that. All right, so I got the hole fully bored out, and she is looking pretty good. Now, this is supposed to fit right in there, nice and snug. So as you can see, it is very tight. I had to bend in all the strut tower right there, and then it sits right there where the clutch used to be, and it is pretty well sitting perfectly back there on the firewall. So I'm gonna mark my hole, put the one bolt in, and we're just gonna hope it's gonna be strong enough to hold it in place while we push the brakes on, and from there we can plumb it up. Alright, so plumbing the system. I had to reuse just a few lines that were already on here, but it seems it's going to work. Now I just had to switch out the double flares for bubble flares, since we are using different kind of junctions, and yeah, after that we should be fine to put some fluid in it and see if we actually have brakes, which would be real nice. But anyways, I am going to finish flaring this last line, plug that in, and then I'll get back to you guys when it's time to actually see if we're holding pressure or not. That should do it. Now this line might be a little bitch to bleed, but hopefully it turns out fine. Alright, well I'm gonna go pump the brakes just to see if we got fluid flow. You keep an eye on that fitting, and that junction over there, and let's make sure it doesn't leak. Well, it doesn't seem to be leaking anywhere, so that's a good sign. Now I'm going to be spending a whole lot of time to figure out how I'm going to bleed that, since every line is passing over the master reservoir. The oil isn't going to gravity feed right through the line, so I'm going to figure something out. we'll be back when we actually have brakes. Alright, well, everything that I feared would happen did happen. And well, I was stuck with a master cylinder that did not want to move any fluid at all on one side. Well, I came to the conclusion that obviously the one valve in there would have been not bled from just sitting for so long and bleeding out. So I just took a fitting, a vacuum line, and you just screw it in, jam the line in it, and then loop it to your reservoir. And then that way you can push out the air and suck in some oil. And then it just keeps doing that until it cycles properly. After doing that, everything seemed to work fine. And now I have a brake pedal. But obviously, when we fix something, we also break something else. So I'll put you guys here, and I'll let you guys tell me what's wrong. So as we build up pressure, it obviously takes more pressure for me to push the brakes in. And the fact that we only have one bolt holding the master to the firewall is a big issue. Now my next move is to figure out a way to... I'm not going to be able to put another bolt back there. So my other idea would be to strap this to the strut tower. Or some way to retain this from going that way more. Now I'm not too sure what I'm going to do about that yet, but it's a work in progress. So I'm going to figure out a way to maintain that in place, and we'll go from there. Alright, so what I had to do, instead of strapping it down or doing something real sketchy, I thought might as well do something somewhat proper. So if you remember the cap we made to plug the rear brakes, I just drilled a hole dead center of it, tapped it, and now we can put a bolt through the wheel well, and we have one attach point there and then one there. So this one is going to stop it from going this way, and this one is going to stop it from going that way. So I'm going to bolt that in, and then we will make sure I still have brake fluid. Then we can test the brake pedal, see if it still flexes. Alright, so we got everything mounted and put back in place. And now we have a solid pedal where the master does not move. So our next move here is going to be to fire up the car and see if we actually have brakes, because we want those front wheels to be able to stop the entire car. Shouldn't be too hard with the 454 torquing down on the back wheels. But now some of you guys might have judged on this before. Very poor switch panel mounting. Now it's not really supposed to be riding on the transmission like that, so I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly find a way to fix this onto there so I can work it without holding it, and then we'll get to firing the car up, running it, and seeing if it can stop itself. Switch panel is mounted, air cleaner is off, battery's plugged in, and it's about time we see if she fires up. Let's just make sure she has fuel first. Prime the line. Manpower. If you look in there, we have gas. So if we have fire, we should have a bang. We will need ignition, gas, gas. Oh, I think our throttle's stuck open. That needle must be stuck open because she keeps flooding on this side. Rebuilt. Let's just see if she'll go. I bet she has enough gas by now to go vroom. You know, sometimes you just can't be too fussy about it. Ignition on! That throttle cable does get stuck though. Jesus fuck! Kind of, but not really. Alright, we are in park. Ignition on, start. Oh, that's easy. Well, that was an interesting test drive. I think we need better brakes and better throttle control, and then maybe figure out some better steering, because it's not accurate whatsoever. Time to show you guys the damage. Alright, so damage report. Hood is fucked up, but it was already fucked up before I fucked it up, so that's fine. We did kink this a little bit, and it opened up right here, but luckily we missed this, the pulley. That's what I was afraid of. So that's fine. That's nothing. That's nothing. And that is absolutely nothing. Now if we go underneath, everything is still straight, including that corner. So it'll be fine. We just have a couple more things to fix up, and I mean, it shows how strong the car is. Very soft. Alright, so in typical YouTuber fashion, I could technically say, well, here's how I wrecked the car. Now tune in next time to see how I fix it. But I'm just not satisfied with the idea of finishing this video with that. We're just so close to a proper test run. So what I did is I went ahead and tore your mom's old bed frame apart, made myself an alignment kit, and now I have this measuring tape and that one measuring the difference in between the two wheels. So right now everything is centered, and if we measure out here, we have just about 69.5. Now if we come here, pick this up, and we look at that number, we have 73. Now I'm not real good at math, but that's about 4 inches difference, and if we turn that into degrees, that's way too many degrees. We're towed in. So obviously, from being towed in, maybe I didn't actually run out of talent on that run. So when you're towed in like that, imagine the car is going that way, sliding, and you want to correct it. Well, you have this wheel coming straight and then this one pointing in, so this one is just spinning you around while this one is trying to keep you going sideways, and it's just not working because it's always fighting each other. So that's what I think. So that's kind of what happened when I spun out back there. I was going straight, then I was going sideways, but this wheel was still going straight. It was actually going straighter than when I was going straight, just like that. So it just kept spinning around, and I lost it, obviously. Yeah. Well, that is that. Now, if we look at the numbers, we have just about, we have just about, obviously, if I change the camera angle, it's hard to tell what the true measurement is for you guys. But if I look straight down, it's about 71.25. Remember that. Now, if we come out here, we have about 71.5. Now, it is not perfectly straight, which is kind of what I wanted. In the opposite of what I explained earlier, the toe in makes you spin out easier, but the toe out might help you hold the skid a little longer, since the outside wheel points outwards, towards where you're trying to go. If you'll look right inside of here, right about there, there is no gap. Now obviously these are very high offset wheels. Could put some wheels that just fit in a little more, but I don't have no 4x100 15s. And if they're not 15s, the car sits too low. But it is too early to figure that out because if you can see, there is no more four-wheeler tank on the top of the car. And we are now waiting for a fuel pump for a 454. I guess it's not very common around here. So yeah, now we wait. I guess we'll do something else in the meantime. All right, so I spent all day and my last few dollars, but finally we have a fuel pump. The All-Star Performance big block Chevy 6.5 to 8 liter fuel pump. It is a fully rebuildable unit, so we can mess it up and fix it and mess it up again. I also went out and found some fittings to make sure we could fit the fuel pump inside there and have the lines routed somewhat correctly. So obviously, with a new solution comes a new problem, and well, either these lines are disintegrating because they're air compressor lines, or the old pump was bad enough that it was backfeeding oil into the lines. When I disconnected them, a bunch of shit came falling out. On the upside, I had these old copper lines that I kept from your mom's house, and well, we're gonna use them as fuel lines. And then it's gonna go right to the fuel pump. Fuel tank, fuel pump. All right, so I got the whole thing plumbed up. I'll let you guys take a peep at it here pretty soon. But first, let's replace this ugly piece of junk with this slightly less ugly piece of junk. Alright, so there we have it. If you take a closer look at this, it is a perfect fit. What are the coincidences of this happening? Ha ha ha. I'm quite proud of that. The cool thing about that though is that the water tank kind of matches. It's the same style caps. So when it comes to style points, we're up there. Now for fuel system, what I did was I ran a piece of copper line from there, a little piece of rubber line. We have a ball valve here, filter, then it runs right across my passenger floor, right out through the water line holes, and then out here runs right down there under, does a little twirly thing under the water line, and then it comes right over here to the fuel pump. And then from the fuel pump we have this little piece of soft line going up to this piece of hard line, which goes right up to our Howdy carbontator. And it also follows the angle on the radiator hose, so that kind of bonus points, you know. I know I said I wanted to do a donut with it, but with the drive shaft situation and the transmission situation, I don't really feel safe putting some actual load on the drive line without protection. So I am going to, instead of ripping a mad donut on this one, we're going to be a little wiser, and instead of losing a leg or life, we're going to limp it over to the shop where I can make an actual transmission tunnel and at least 1 or 2 more drive shaft loops. From there, once it's all covered up, then we can actually start beating on it. So let's see if she'll run on her own fuel pump. I got a little bit of gas in the tank. All the lines are hooked up. Kitty. Spray a little bit of gas in there and work our magic. And then we should have a running Accent. Proper running Accent. A real battery tray probably would not hurt if we're planning to swing the car around. We'll see about that. A little gas in the carb and she'll be good to go. Should be enough. I think we should take that other one that's over there, cut it open, and see if we can make it salvageable. That water heater one, I think. What do you think? Well, or you want to go different style? Dad brought a pump tank over. Yeah, I see that. Let's see.
back brakes does make a difference for spinning, don't it?
I have to figure out what the frickin' rattling is, man. It's sketching me out.
What do you hear?
The
Oh, I never heard it.
when I'm backing up. As long as it's not revving too high, right? It engages the
I
torque.
can put a brake here.
It engages the torque and I can't do shit about it, right?
Well, that's the problem.
No, I think I'm just gonna have to rebuild the car. If I can get it revving low enough, it won't engage the torque. Once I have the tunnel on it and I can actually beat on it,
Yeah.
then we're gonna know what's rattling, because it'll fucking come right apart.
Yeah, but then you take it all back off again.
Yeah, but at least I won't be dead and I'll be able to redo it.
Yeah.
Right now, if I just beat on it a little
No,
too
I wouldn't.
much,
I wouldn't beat on it very hard.
no.
No, that's for
But
sure.
see how much better it handles with the alignment?
Oh yeah, huge difference.
I was able to hold on to it the whole time.
Yeah, huge difference. You could actually steer,
Yeah.
and it looked fairly decent too. Steering, I was surprised.
All right. Well, that went better than expected. I'm still alive to tell the tale, and it actually spun a little bit. Not a full donut. Didn't want to load up the rear end too much, but hey, a little drift is better than nothing, right? So anyways, I'm gonna keep working on this thing. We have till Friday to get it done now, because Maurice has a new date for us. On my birthday, October 4th, we're actually testing this thing and spinning the tires on pavement. So if you want to see that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, and till next time, go out, be rad. I know I will. See, it was all about the alignment. I knew it.